If you do have any questions, post them in the chat, and I'll periodically check in on that, and we'll cover those questions. Okay. All right, and everybody should be seeing my screen. So to start off with, today is a discussion mostly about kind of some of the stuff regarding, what's new around Claris over the last couple of months. There's been a lot of stuff going on at Claris. There's been a lot of new announcements. There's been a lot of rapid development with 19.5 released yesterday. We're also going to talk about that. I am getting the slow internet connection warning at my house. We're having roaming power outages in central Ohio with the heat wave. So if this does get cut off, I'll try to rejoin, but that's just how it is. So to start with, let's just talk about a quick review of the problem solver circle. Now, if you haven't heard about this in the last month, the problem solver circle is a kind of a trial run program that Claris is doing over the next 2 years. And what it does is it allows you to upgrade your license key for FileMaker at a reduced price and get access to everything that Claris offers in the platform. So for those of you that are already on like a site license, it's probably not for you. But if you have like the standard five user license, but you have, 20 or 30 people in your office and you have things that you want to do with FileMaker to expand it so everybody's using it, then that's exactly what this problem solver circle is. So basically it gives you an unlimited license key to use Claris Connect, FileMaker Pro, FileMaker Server, and Claris Studio, which is our main focus for today's presentation. And then it gives you that license key for 2 years. And then at the end of that 2 years, basically you're gonna talk with a FileMaker sales rep. They're going to figure out, how many users you're actually using, and they're going to convert your site license back to that, standard site license. So if you are interested in the problem solver circle, you have about a week left to sign up for it before they close the sign up window. You can get in touch with Maria if you know Maria, or just email answers@gomainspring.com, and we'll get you set up with kind of checking you in, seeing if it's the right fit for you, and getting you involved in that program. So that is that. So our main focus today is going to be Claris Studio. So Claris Studio is a brand new product from Claris that is kind of the framework for where the platform is headed. And for those of you that have gone to the in-person DevCon in the last couple, back before the pandemic, they started showing off brief glimpses of what this is and what this was. But what this can turn into is a fully featured web version of FileMaker that allows you to kind of create layouts, tie stuff together. Now, it's in a very basic form now, which we're going to demonstrate today. So I'm not happily like ditching FileMaker Pro and switching to Claris Studio as a development platform, but as they build on top of this technology, they will slowly introduce more features that will make it useful to everybody that's currently in FileMaker Pro. Until then, FileMaker Pro 19 is not going anywhere. They just released 19.5 yesterday. They will continue to release updates for that. But what I will be showing you today is Claris Pro, which is essentially FileMaker Pro 20, which really the only difference as far as we're concerned is the ability to connect to Claris Studio so that we can get our data into FileMaker Pro. So let's start off with this quick demo here, show you how easy this is. So when you log into Claris Studio, you're going to kind of wind up directly in your form builder. So we're going to actually just create a new form today. So creating a new form, we're going to call this form mainspring office hours. And we're going to add a workflow. Now, the current workflow is a simple registration workflow. Fill out this registration form, get a confirmation. So it's going to create 2 pages for us, the registration page and the confirmation page. If I want to add a page to my workflow, I can just click to add a new page. And let's just call this meal plan options or something like that, because you might have, meals at the event. So a lot just happened in the background there. It doesn't seem like there's a lot here. Okay, I have 3 pages now. They're automatically tied together and they're linked to me in this workflow, this guided workflow. You can see that there's these next buttons, previous and next. It puts together this guided forms experience for you for multi-page forms. But what you're also not seeing in the background is that as I'm creating this, it is also creating automatically the underlying data structure for me. So it's already created a table for me, and I can call this mainspring office hours. Let's just say 06 16/2022. So that's kind of naming my table here. So I can add columns and rows here. It's a more simple editing here. So I know I'm going to have, let's say we have comments. Let's add a phone number in here as well. So we're going to add phone, and you can see it's already got some of these in here for me. Let's just add a phone for now. And then I'm going to go back to our page editor. So you can see this page editor is also paged. I can go through all 3 pages at once. And now I have this form editing surface here. So right now I don't have my phone number in here. So right now I have email. Let's go ahead and add our phone. And you can see it's responsive to me. So it uses a gridding system that allows you to drag and drop into a grid. And this will allow me to auto size things so that, sorry, I'm moving some stuff out of the way here. I can preview things and I can see what it's going to look like on a phone or on a tablet or on a laptop. So it has this quick preview mode here that you can go with me. And like, I don't need to do anything else. As I make each change, Claris is automatically updating my form, and I get a link to that form. So if I open up a new tab here, my form's already live. I can already use my registration form. And as I slowly build this out, let's call this office hours registration. And I'll put in some info here. But as I make changes here, I can refresh this page, and those changes are already saved. So unlike other form builders, it's got some of that FileMaker magic of automatically saving your layout changes for you. So aside from that, it's a pretty standard form editor. You can there's some settings like, let's say that my header, I want to change my header style just a little bit to a slightly darker color, and I want to unlock my header so that when they scroll the page, the header scrolls as well. All right, so I've done that. Let's go to the next page. On this page, we can do something that's like multiple choice. Multiple choice is what we normally call a radio button, and we can say meal options as if pizza, sandwich, salad, or something like that. And you can you can just add objects in here as you go. So if I want to do multiple choices, drinks, and let's do a long text box, do diet considerations. And again, as I'm adding all this, it's adding the underlying data structure for me. Now, there wasn't the ability to select phone and drag it on there, so it actually created another phone field in here. So I can actually come in here and delete that out of there because it's not being used on our phone. And then I can come over here and you can customize field types in here, that type of thing. All right, so back in here, and again, like I said, it's creating the underlying data structure, but it's also changing those in real time. So I'm able to see that. And then I have a confirmation page here. Registration is complete. So this is the basic experience right now. But in the future, obviously, there's going to be more object types. There's going to be greater abilities to control options for each field. Like right now, there's no calculation engine like we're used to in FileMaker Pro. There's no script engine that we're used to in FileMaker Pro. So really what this is geared towards right now is replacing it's replacing WebDirect for those anonymous users where you need to collect form information, one-way collection of information. So if you need to get data from the web, from anonymous users into your database, like a mailing list sign up or event registration or something where you don't need two-way information to provide them information back, then Claris Studio is capable of handling those situations. Because now that I have this platform link, I can give this to 1,000 people and they can start filling out this form. And as they start filling it out, all their data will show up here. But obviously, that doesn't help me out if I don't have FileMaker. So I'm going to, so when you come into the new Claris Pro, you're going to be asked to sign in with your Claris Studio ID into the new Claris Pro. I'm going to grab it out of here. I'm going to log in while my screen's paused. Okay. All right, so let's create a new file here. I'm going to create a new blank file. We're going to call this office hours on my Mac. Desktop is fine. And we're going to manage our database. Now, in our relationship graph, there's a new option in here. So you're used to the ESS option, adding an ODBC data source or adding a FileMaker data source, but now we have our Claris Studio data source. And there's a lot of us in Claris Studio here. So here's our mainspring office hours table right here. So I can go ahead and add that to my relationship graph. And just hitting OK. Let's create a new layout based on that table. I can call it something like event registrations list or something. And then I have all of those fields in here from what I had before. So I can just drag out, first name, drag out last name. And let's drag out email as well. All right, so I haven't filled out anything yet. So let's fill out this form. I'm going to refresh it just to make sure I have the latest version of the form. Next. submit. So it submitted that, and now I'm going to go back here, and in Claris Studio, that data should already be in here. There's that, and now if I refresh my window over here, there's my record over here. So that's how we get that information into the FileMaker side. We'll be using Claris Pro, which is, like I said, essentially FileMaker Pro, but with the ability to connect with your Claris Studio ID. So that's probably the quickest way you can get online forms into FileMaker right now. So it doesn't require you to use webhooks. It doesn't require you to use Claris Connect to direct things into FileMaker. You have Claris Connect if you want to do things like, take JotForm submissions or set up webhooks to dump data in. So that's the basic Claris Studio tour. I see the chat windows revved up a couple things. So let's talk about the questions in the chat really quick. So Jean has asked, when you're done, can you go over the dollar value of the Circle program? I'm not really sure what that refers to. So basically how the license key is handled for the Problem Solver Circle is whatever your license key is now, you pay 50% more for 2 years to get into the Problem Solver Circle. So if my license key right now costs me $1,000, Problem Solver Circle would cost me $1,500 for 2 years. And then it would give me unlimited users, unlimited servers, unlimited usage of Claris Connect. I would still have to pay for my hosting. If you want FileMaker hosting included, you can actually sign up for FileMaker Cloud as part of the Problem Solver Circle. That increases the rate from 150% of your license fee to 200% of your license fee. So if I wanted the server with FileMaker Cloud to be included with my Problem Solver Circle package, that would make my $1,000 license $2,000, but it would be unlimited with the server hosting included. As far as what happens at the end of the 2 years, Claris is a little fuzzy about where your pricing goes from there. I think it's fuzzy on purpose because they don't know how many users you're going to have, but they're basically, I think, going to try to convert all of those people into site licenses. So site licenses currently, you qualify for a site license if you have 25 or more users. So if you don't have a large bank of users, you might not have a use for Problem Solver Circle. If you're a small business with 5 or 10 users, it might not be for you. This is kind of geared towards large or small businesses or medium-sized businesses, ones that aren't using a site license already. Is there a downside to joining the Circle? The only downside that I could think of is some confusion with your license keys. If you decide to drop out of the program, you're basically locking in yourself for that 2-year trial period when you join the Circle. So your FileMaker license is taken care of for 2 years, but what happens at the end of that 2 years is a little fuzzy, like I said. In terms of what you get under Problem Solver Circle, the Claris Studio Early Access, this kind of answers the next question. The Claris Studio access is only available to Problem Solver Circle until Claris Studio is officially released. So everything I'm showing you with Claris Studio today is kind of it's trial, it's beta run. It works, like I showed you, it works. I can start using it today if I wanted to do registration forms. But when you sign up for it as part of the part of the Problem Solver Circle, you get the early access to Claris Studio. So they're anticipating that sometime in the fall, the official version of Claris Studio will be released. And then when it's released, there's going to probably be separate pricing the same way that Claris Connect has its own pricing right now. So if you do Problem Solver Circle, it's easier because your license key covers everything. You get Claris Studio, you get Claris Connect, you get Claris Pro and Claris Server. So you get all of that together under one license key. So you don't have to worry about picking and choosing what you want. Claris Pro name is only being used. So Claris Pro is, they announced this at one of their meetings, but Claris Pro is actually going to be free for single user deployments now. So Claris Pro will be available free for download in the App Store. So in the Apple, this App Store, it's a free download. Actually, when you're in Claris Studio, when you get your Claris Studio access, you have your free access here. So it doesn't require a license key. It does require you to sign in to your Claris Studio ID so that it can link you to your active account. But you can use it offline. Like I can go back into Claris Pro here and I can just create new local files on my desktop and use it locally without connecting to any servers without any issues at all. Like I said, for the most part, it's the same as FileMaker Pro 19. Within 2 years or so, single user FileMaker Pro app, no. So John, your question about single user FileMaker Pro app, the single user FileMaker Pro app, it will no longer be sold, but it will be free to download. So you can download Claris Pro for free. And that will be true, like when they release it this fall, that will be true as soon as it's released. So as soon as it's in the App Store, if you're just a single user, you don't require a license key. Where they get you in terms of charging you any money is when you start to host your application. So if you need to connect to servers and stuff or connect to Claris Studio, that's when you're going to be paying license fees for. So it's kind of similar to what FileMaker Go is like now. FileMaker Go, you go to the App Store on your iPhone and it's free to download. You don't have to pay a fee in the App Store for it. All right, and last question before we move on here. Will Claris Studio support custom domains? That's one of the things that Claris has said eventually. They don't have a concrete roadmap for timelines. So out of the box, you're going to see these IDs. You can maybe set up a CNAME record that redirects to this and kind of masks it slightly. But in terms of your own custom domain, it's just like FileMaker Cloud, where it doesn't really support custom domains at all. And then Dan put another question here. Should I join the circle if I use FileMaker Pro servers and FileMaker Pro to develop? That's not really the type of criteria that you should be asking about. Anybody that's in the problem solver circle is assumed to be using servers and FileMaker Pro to develop. So anybody in the circle is going to do that. The benefit from you is going to come from if you have enough users in your business that aren't using FileMaker Pro now, that could be using FileMaker Pro, and you want a cost-efficient way to upgrade your business so that you're able to use more FileMaker Pro for less cost upfront right now. So yeah, like your license for the problem solver circle is unlimited. That means you can set up as many FileMaker servers in your organization as you want. You can have as many FileMaker Pro users as you want. So if you have 5 people using FileMaker Pro now, but you have 100 employees and you think 50 of them could be using FileMaker Pro, then that's a good fit. Because basically what it's designed to do is give you the licensing to cover all of those people that could be using FileMaker so that you can update your apps to be with features that all of those users would use. So for example, like if you have a solution now where maybe just your marketing department is using FileMaker for a CRM, but you have a giant warehouse where you're managing inventory, and you could use FileMaker there, and that's going to add 25 users to your 5-user license, then the Problem Solver Circle would be good for that, because you'll be able to upgrade for basically the cost of 8 users and cover all those 50 users for 2 years. But then in 2 years, you know, FileMaker is going to come back and see, okay, how many users are you actually using? And your site license from that point on will be based on that. So it's a good deal if it fits right for your business. Dan, contact us. Just shoot us a message at answers@gomainspring.com, and we'll get you set up for that. You have to apply through a partner. And there's no obligation. So, but you do have to sign up. June 24th is the cutoff date for Problem Solver Circle. Pop that in chat too. All right, moving on. We're almost done though. So really the only other topic I wanted to cover today was the announcement of 19.5. Now, this is so overdue that the release notes say May 2022 in it. Yeah, so we've been beta testing 19.5, I think, since last December. There is a lot going on in 19.5 behind the scenes. There's performance improvements, there's bug fixes, over 400 bug fixes according to Claris. This is just like pretty much the biggest release, well, obviously since 19.4 came out, but it's been kind of about a year in the making. So the big, I'll post all these links in here for the release notes. So here is FileMaker Pro release notes. There's some new functions. The biggest new function is get live text, which is basically it's like OCR. Like OCR is optical character recognition, but Apple Live Text is the ability to basically like take an image and extract text out of it. So this image is a good example of that. So if I look at this image, it's actually letting you like select text out of that image that it's reading. So live text in 19.5 is going to allow you to do the same. If you have an image in a container field, you're going to be able to extract the text of that image into using the calculation engine. So that's a big new feature boost, because either before you had to use plugins to do OCR, or you had to use APIs to do the OCR, or you had to do text extract using the AI functions. So it's a lot easier now with that. QR code reading is also now capable from a container field. So if you take a picture of a QR code, you can read the contents of that code out. There's a lot more in here, so I'm not going to cover everything. You can go ahead and read through all this. And then if you're on 19.3.2 or higher, or macOS 19.4 point higher, you can run the updater. If you're not on one of these versions, you'll want to install it from scratch. Or, you know, it's always a good idea every now and then to just uninstall and reinstall things. So you can have both versions installed at the same time, by the way. So I can have 19.4.2 installed, which I do. This is 19.4.2. I can download the full installer for 19.5.1 and run them both separately if I want to. They're both containerized. All right, so that is Pro release notes. These are the server release notes, FileMaker server. So the biggest updates with server are, oh, sorry, that was FileMaker Go. So FileMaker Go also brings you those live text functions, the QR code function. The other thing about that QR code function is it works in FileMaker Pro, which barcode scanning is only capable in FileMaker Go still with the insert from device script step. But now we have the read QR code function that works on any container field. So it also works in FileMaker Pro. So that's helpful if somebody sends you pictures of QR codes. So FileMaker Go release notes. And then these are FileMaker Server. So FileMaker Server release notes. There's some good stuff with security. They've made better implementations of OpenSSL. But the big thing that everybody's going to love is the performance updates. So the big performance update is that summary fields for hosted database in FileMaker Server. Beforehand, you would get that in the past when you're dealing with a lot of data that has summary, like a financial report for 2 or 3 years. You'll get a progress bar in FileMaker Pro that says summarizing or sorting data. And those are starting to go away now because we're able to do those functions on the server side rather than doing them on the client side. So when it's on the client side, I have to load all the data from the server to my computer. And then once I've done that, then I can summarize it in my computer. But now it's going to do that on the server, which is much better for performance. Parallel backup performance, that's going to help. It's going to allow you to process multiple backups like simultaneously. So before it would kind of queue the backup. So it would back up one file at a time and then move on to the next file when that one was done. But when it's in parallel, they'll all start backing up immediately as it's able to spin up multiple threads. So backups will be faster, which means if you're doing like progressive backups during the day, or you have a backup schedule that runs during the day, and maybe like, we have a lot of people that will back up at like 12:30 p.m. halfway through the workday. And if anybody's connected at 12:30 p.m. and running a report, they're going to get the beach ball while the backup's running. And if you have a very large file where it takes 5 minutes to back up, that might be a big deal. But those are going to start to get better now because we're able to do things in parallel. All right, and then web publishing. These are performance enhancements for FileMaker WebDirect. So specifically with how the CSS, which is the coding that makes up all the styling of what you see in your WebDirect page, that's improved as well. So there will be a performance boost. People that upgrade their FileMaker server will see slight increases in performance, especially if they're heavy WebDirect users and they're running reports with summaries. There's a lot more in here now as well, including some major bug fixes, especially for Mac OS and Ubuntu servers. Yeah, the list goes way like on and on and on and on and on. There's a lot going on in that server documentation, so you can skim through that. Again, if you have any questions about that, something doesn't make sense, or you think it's something that would benefit you, just get in touch with us at answers@gomainspring.com and we can walk you through that. And then the last thing is the tech specs for FileMaker 19.5. Not much has changed on this screen, but they haven't, the new Mac OS, there's a new Mac OS in beta. They'll probably support it once it's released, but 19.5 doesn't, like Claris never supports beta software. So you'll note the big note here is this note right here. 19.5 no longer supports Windows 8.1. So make sure you're on Windows 10 or 11 if you want to run 19.5. Also, there's a lot of iPads that are supported still. So, and all the way back to iPhone 6, believe it or not. So support hasn't really changed for 19.5. If you were already using 19.4, you'll probably be able to install 19.5 unless you're on Windows 8. All right. And yeah, here's some of the server updates as well. So not really much going on here. Oh, one other server update that they made is when you install FileMaker Server, it specifies how much memory cache it uses. And by default, I think that used to be like 256 megs. It was very small. They increased that a lot. I think it's, well, it's either 512 or 1024 now. I forget specifically, but you should see if you haven't tuned your server before and you're just installing FileMaker Server on your own, you should see better performance because it has a little bit more memory capacity allocated when it installs. All right. So questions. So for those of you hosting with us using our FileMaker hosting platform, this is a major update of FileMaker Server. So we will be sending out an email to all of our hosting clients tomorrow about scheduling updates for 19.5. We will be offering that as a flat rate service to upgrade you, which will include backing up your server, uninstalling 19.4, cleaning up all your caches and temporary files, reinstalling 19.5, restoring all your schedules, and then, taking care of tuning your server to essentially be the best usage of 19.5. There's a few servers, older servers that we host, FileMaker 17, FileMaker 18, where we'll actually, if you do want to upgrade to 19.5, we're actually going to set up a brand new server for you because we're only implementing Windows 2019 right now. So we have some older Windows 2016 servers. We have a few people, I think, still on Windows 2012 that are maybe using FileMaker 17. So once that email, if you don't get our hosting emails, shoot a message to answers@gomainspring.com asking us to upgrade your server to 19.5. It'll probably be a reasonable flat rate. We're still working on it. It normally takes us about an hour and a half of our time to do that update because we do it manually. We don't like automating it because we found that can run into some major issues. So we basically want eyes on your server the whole time we're doing that update, so you get the best experience possible. So we are going to start scheduling updates for Friday, June 1st over the long weekend for the 4th. So if you want to get in on that weekend to get your server upgraded to 19.5, that'll be available. 19.5 itself is compatible back to server like 19.3.2. So if you're already running like FileMaker Server 19.4, you can update FileMaker Pro without any problems to use 19.5. All right. Well, I've talked straight for 40 minutes. So are there any other questions today? That's really all for the presentation. Mostly it was covering Claris Studio. Claris Studio, it'll be very interesting to kind of sum up here. It'll be very interesting to see what Claris upgrades and releases on that over the next year. Like right now, it's pretty basic. For those of you that have used other services like JotForm, maybe like you're like, well, this isn't so special. In JotForms, I have like 200 different field types and thousands of templates to choose from. But for Claris, this is a big step because it's it's investing in technology that's eventually going to replace apps as we know it, and a lot of application development is trending that way. Like, a lot of people don't use like an email client to access their Gmail account. They just go to gmail.com and they access it. It's the same type of thing with software. Things are slowly transitioning to browser-based apps or little thin clients that wrap around browsers. So it's interesting to see how much of the FileMaker Pro experience for developers like me they'll be able to set up in there to make it easy to kind of develop these guided experiences. So there's a lot that went on the back end. I encourage you to go to the Claris channel on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Claris FileMaker, and you should find the official Claris channel, and watch all of their videos from like the last 2 months, all of their announcement videos, because there's a lot going on. If you're interested in the technical aspects, find the videos with Peter Nelson. He's the VP of engineering, and he's kind of led the charge towards switching to this back end, which is great. All right. Yeah, so John mentioned here, if you have problems updating and it won't, just uninstall and reinstall to 19.5. It's the fastest way to fix issues, and 99% of the time that fixes issues we have with installs. So, and if you still have problems, again, our service desk is always there for you with our full team. answers@gomainspring.com. We're happy to help out. Well, I think that's it for today. So I'm going to cut things off early, give you guys 18 minutes of your life back, and we will talk to you next month. If anybody has topic ideas of things they want to see, we might do a walkthrough of new features in 19.5 next month. But if you have anything specific you want to see, just let us know. Shoot us an email. You know how to get in touch. All right. Everybody have a great afternoon. I will see you next time.